What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, May 6th, 2025, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 13:50 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have something going on in the Gulf of America this afternoon. So what you're looking at here is a live flight tracker. And what you can see here is a U.S. nuke sniffer plane that has been flying in the Gulf of America this afternoon and doing this zigzag pattern. In addition to the nuke sniffer, we also have an E-3 Sentry AWACS plane that was flying off the coast of Cuba, right in between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba. We also have two P-8 Poseidon sub-hunters that were in the Gulf of America as well. We also have one P-8 Poseidon sub-hunter off the coast of the eastern shore of Florida near the Bahamas. And then right now we have a presidential doomsday plane that just took off from Stratcom HQ at Offutt Air Base, and it was flying with its transponder off. So let me just zoom in here into the Gulf of America so you can get a closer look. So here's that nuke sniffer, and it was flying very low and doing some kind of a zigzag pattern, which is typically a search grid. And these planes can detect not only radiation in the atmosphere, but they can also detect radiation coming out of the ocean. So they can detect the presence of nuclear-powered submarines. And then here you can see the two P-8 Poseidon sub-hunters that were off the coast of Sarasota. And then here you can see one sub-hunter that's still off the coast of Florida, off the coast of Orlando, near the Bahamas, okay, doing multiple loops. And then here you can see that AWACS plane, the E-3 Sentry, near Cancun. And you can see it did multiple loops over there. And here you can see the presidential doomsday plane that took off from Stratcom headquarters. And it was flying with its transponder turned off for a while. And now it is heading northeast, which is very unusual. So something is going on this afternoon. I don't know what, but there could potentially be some enemy submarines in the Gulf of America. For them to have an AWACS, a nuke sniffer, and two P-8 Poseidons in the Gulf is very, very unusual. And a fire broke out late last night at an underground ammunition depot in Iran belonging to the IRGC. There's no word yet if this fire was caused by Israel or the U.S. or someone else, or if it was just an accidental fire. But there has been a fire at an underground ammunition depot in Iran. And speaking of Iran, over the weekend, the U.S. moved two or more B-52'S to Diego Garcia. We already have 10 B-2 stealth bombers in Diego Garcia. Now the U.S. is moving B-52'S to Diego Garcia. So this could be a sign that the U.S. is getting ready to strike Iran. Here we have a radio intercept, and you can hear one of the B-52'S stating that he's going to Diego Garcia. And so you can hear the B-52 pilot interacting with air traffic controllers, and he states his destination as Diego Garcia.
San Francisco, Horn 11 flight position. Horn 11 flight, San Francisco, go ahead. San Francisco, Horn 11, present 2610 north 145 west at 2227, estimated 2346 north 150 west at 2311, next 2107 north 155 west. Thorn 1-1, most conditions include an altitude. What is your altitude, over? 27.28. Hey, understand Thorn 1-1 flight was 2610 north, 145 west at 2227, in the block 270 to 280, 2346 north, 150 west at 2311, and 2107 north, 155 west next. Is that correct? Thorn 1-1 flight, approach. Thorn 1-1 flight San Francisco, Roger, at 150 west. Primary frequency is standby. What is your destination, sir? Thorn 1-1 flight, standby. San Francisco, standing by. San Francisco, Thorn 1-1 flight, destination Foxtrot, Juliet, Delta, Golf.
So he says destination Foxtrot, Juliet, Delta Golf. Delta Golf would be Diego Garcia. So this is huge news, guys. The U.S. moving B-52's now to Diego Garcia. And I want to remind you guys that Putin is not going to be attending the Victory Day Parade in person for the first time ever. He's going to be attending by video, and the Chinese president will be attending in person. And also Zelensky warned foreign leaders attending the Victory Day Parade that he could not guarantee their safety there. So very, very interesting. And I wanted to update you guys on the situation with India and Pakistan. So India will be conducting civil defense drills tomorrow, according to government officials. And today, the Home Secretary of India held a high-level civil defense meeting with the ministers from all 244 districts in India. And this was a video conference, okay? So they had a video conference today, a high-level civil defense meeting with all the ministers of the 244 districts in India. That would be like the president having a meeting with all of the governors of our states on civil defense. And tomorrow they're going to be conducting some kind of civil defense exercise. So this is clearly a sign that India and Pakistan are about to go to war. And the Indian Prime Minister said today that India will cut off the flow of water into Pakistan via the Indus River. If you guys are not familiar, they have a treaty called the Indus River Treaty, and basically Pakistan is reliant on India for water because Pakistan is a desert country, but there's one river that flows from the Himalayas through the Kashmir region of northern India and then into Pakistan, and that's the Indus River, and it provides irrigation and drinking water for Pakistan. And so they have a treaty, but India is now saying they're going to stop all the water flow, and we do have some new video footage that confirms that the water has been shut off already, and Pakistan has already warned that this would lead to a war if India did this, okay? This would be an act of war. And here we have some footage coming out of the Indus River area. You can see this massive hydroelectric dam that's completely dried up. You can see the spillways are completely dry. And then you can see the river is starting to drop its level, okay? So it's been shut off for a while, but the Indian Prime Minister has confirmed that they will be cutting off the river, okay? And the Pakistani Defense Minister issued another threat today on TV saying that if India attacks and Pakistan's existence is threatened, nobody will survive. We won't let any other country live on this planet either. Wow. Okay, so Pakistan threatening a nuclear war, global nuclear war, if India goes into Pakistan or attacks Pakistan. Absolutely insane. And this dam over here is called the Baglahar Dam. Okay, so this is one of the dams that feeds the Indus River. And here we have some footage coming out of Pakistan near the border of India. You can see a bunch of Pakistani troops marching towards the border of India. And the foreign minister of Iran met with Pakistan's army chief yesterday. That's pretty interesting. Looks like Iran and Pakistan are going to team up. And the Indian Prime Minister held a meeting with his defense minister yesterday. And over the weekend, the Indian Prime Minister held one-on-one meetings with the Indian Navy Chief, the Indian Army Chief, and the Chief Minister of the Kashmir region. Okay, so clearly India is preparing for war. And the U.S. moved another Arleigh Burke-class destroyer into the Middle East region near Iran. Apparently, this was the USS Milius, and it was moved from Japan to the Central Command Area of Responsibility. And this warship can intercept ballistic missiles, and it also can carry Tomahawk cruise missiles for long-range precision strikes. So that's another sign that something is about to go down in the Middle East and Iran. And what you're looking at here is a picture coming out of Yemen. Last night, the Israeli Air Force launched a massive strike on Yemen on the Houthis. They destroyed a cement factory. I believe they also destroyed an ammunition depot and some fuel depots. The Israeli Air Force used 30 fighter jets to conduct dozens and dozens of strikes. So very, very intense strikes on Yemen last night. And interestingly, we had some Chinese Y-20 military cargo planes arrive in Qatar last night. Very, very unusual. And yesterday we had a lot of U.S. strategic assets airborne during this massive strike on Yemen by the Israeli Air Force. There was a Combat Sentinel high-priority recon plane that did this gigantic loop over the Great Lakes and the Midwest. Very, very interesting. And we also had actually two presidential doomsday planes airborne. One took off from Colorado Springs and landed in Offutt Air Base, and then one took off from Offutt Air Base, did a giant loop over the Ozarks, turned its tracker off, and then landed. And then we had 3 B-52 nuclear bombers airborne at the same time as well. So this is very, very interesting. And last night, Russia said they shot down 5 Ukrainian drones over the Moscow region, and the night before, Sunday night, Russia shot down 4 Ukrainian drones over the Moscow region. So it looks like Ukraine is probing Moscow's air defenses and drone defenses ahead of the Victory Day parade. And I am expecting some kind of a strike on Moscow by Ukraine, some kind of a drone attack either before the Victory Day parade or on the Victory Day parade. And also on Sunday, Russia had to close the Nadim airport in Yamalo-Nenets region. And this is 2,500 kilometers away from the border of Ukraine. And this is where Russia has all of their oil and gas platforms. This is the most oil and gas rich region in the world. This is like the Russian Prudhoe Bay on steroids. So it looks like Ukraine was potentially trying to go after Russia's biggest refineries and oil and gas exploration platforms. And also last night, Russia had to shut down all of their main airports in the Moscow region because of all of the drones coming in from Ukraine. And we have some major breaking news coming in from Israel. So Israel approved a plan to capture all of the Gaza Strip and for the Israeli military to remain there indefinitely. The Israeli Prime Minister confirmed the new offensive against Hamas in the Gaza Strip will be intense and involves the displacement of Palestinians to a humanitarian area in the southern Gaza Strip and a long-term military presence in the area. The military operation approved by the Security Cabinet will be carried out after the U.S. President finishes his visit to the Middle East. So that's on May 15th. So in about 2 weeks is when Israel's going to basically go into Gaza, take control of the entire Gaza Strip. So this is absolutely huge, historic news. And Iran unveiled a solid-fueled ballistic missile called the Qassam Basir. According to the Iranians, this missile is resistant to electronic warfare and can bypass anti-ballistic missile systems. It does not use GPS. It is maneuverable and has a range of 1,200 kilometers. And at least one of the 5 Iranian nationals arrested in the UK over the weekend in connection with an alleged terror plot has close ties to the government of Iran. Very interesting. So Iran is sponsoring terrorism in the UK. And Iran's UN envoy warned in a letter to the UN Security Council that the responsibility and consequences of any unlawful and reckless aggression against Iran will fully and unquestionably fall on the U.S. and Israel. So Iran threatening the U.S. and Israel. And Putin said over the weekend that even without nuclear weapons, Russia has enough forces and resources to complete their goals in Ukraine. And Ukraine may receive additional PATRIOT air defense systems currently stationed in Israel and Greece. And France plans to produce and deliver up to 1,200 AASM Hammer aircraft bombs to Ukraine. So France is giving over 1,000 guided bombs to Ukraine to use against Russia. That is huge news. Okay, you see how things escalate. We now have Ukraine using Western weapons against Russia, and we have Russia using North Korean and Chinese weapons and troops as well. So it's escalating into a global conflict, okay? And North Korea has begun mass producing the world's most powerful rocket launcher, the KN-25, which launches 600 millimeter rockets. That is insane. The typical rocket artillery is 155 millimeters, so this rocket is 4 times larger than the average rocket artillery. Absolutely insane. And Taiwan's military has confirmed the delivery of a first batch of 16 ATACMS missiles. And the Philippines Coast Guard spotted a manned deep-sea submersible vessel fast approaching a Chinese research vessel, which was later retrieved by its crew. The submersible, known as the Shanghai Yangshi or Deep Sea Warrior, is engineered for deep-sea exploration and scientific research with the capability to dive to depths of 4,500 meters. Okay, so China is doing deep-sea exploration in the Philippines exclusive economic zone right off the coast of the Philippines, probably to cut cables, or maybe there's some minerals. And we have some very concerning news coming out of a whistleblower about the U.S. government funding the construction of over 100 underground bunkers for elites. A former government official has asserted that the U.S. has constructed a clandestine underground city at a cost of $21 trillion intended for the ultra-wealthy in the event of a near-extinction event. Catherine Austin Fitts, who held the position of Assistant Secretary of HUD under President George Bush Sr., made this remarkable claim during an appearance on the podcast hosted by former Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson. A 2017 report by Mark Skidmore, an economist from Michigan State University, revealed that he characterized as $21 trillion in unauthorized spending by the Department of HUD between the years 1998 and 2015. During her discussion on the Tucker Carlson show, Fitts mentioned that she has spent years scrutinizing the whereabouts of this $21 trillion and has identified 170 secret underground bases across the U.S. Fitz stated, "One of the aspects I investigated in tracking the allocation of these funds is the underground base infrastructure and transportation systems that have been established." She further asserted a significant number of underground bases and purported transportation systems have been built, including those located beneath oceans. Wow. So very, very interesting. And what you're looking at here is the flight path of a U.S. nuclear bomber that was airborne over North Dakota last night. It was looping over Minot for several hours. Very, very strange. And then we also had a U.S. reconnaissance plane looping off the coast of San Diego, which is very unusual. It was looking towards Tijuana. And here's a look at a missile detecting plane that was airborne over North Dakota yesterday. And then we also had several Russian VIP planes leave Moscow on Sunday and go to Sochi. So potentially Putin is going to be in Sochi during the Moscow Victory Day celebration, watching from his mansion over there. And then over the weekend, we had over half a dozen German Air Force planes fly to Lithuania, and they had no flight information at all. Okay, just their call signs. So this is very, very unusual. So something is brewing in Lithuania. We've been seeing a massive amount of NATO AWACS planes in the Baltics and northern Poland over the weekend. So potentially Russia's getting ready to attack the Baltics and Poland. But that's all the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with more breaking news. Tune into my 24/7 live stream for continuing updates. And also download my app. It's free in the Google Play Store. And also for iOS, there's a link in the description down below. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.